I'm really excited to introduce you to our speaker. Dr. Dee Bowden is the creator of Collect the Cash. Now, she works with small businesses who want to solve their cash flow problems. She's on a mission to keep small businesses profitable. And after collecting $6 million in 60 days while working for a small IT company, Dee recognized that small businesses also fall prey to revenue loss because they don't collect outstanding invoices. Now, her revenue recovery strategies have been featured in Forbes, Yahoo Finance, VIP Global, and Black Enterprise and Thrive Global magazines. Dee's newest book is titled Collect the Cash. The sale is not complete until the money is in the bank. And I could not agree more. So Dr. Dee Bowden, welcome to the stage. We're so happy to have you today. Is there anything that you would like to add to kind of that baseline for people before we dive into questions? Oh, you're on mute, sorry. There, we'll get you there. Don't worry, I do this all the time.
Trying to get all the buttons and all the things.
Of course.
Well, first of all, can I just say this is fabulous? I'm just so
you have a
excited
good time
to be here.
We're so happy to have you. Now, do you prefer Dr. Bowden, Dr. Dee? What would you?
Actually, my last name is actually Bowden, so it's actually Bowden.
Thank you for that.
So Dr. D is fine. D is fine. I'm totally good with either one. D is just fine. We can just we'll just relax it and bring it down a notch. Anyway, great.
I always like to ask
Meg.
If I had a doctorate, I'd never stop talking about it.
I'm old school, so I'm gonna snag a picture of us before we get into the conversation. How about that?
Awesome. This is great.
Let's do that.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, on three. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Yeah, I love it.
All right.
So let's kind of jump off here.
Sure.
Now, when we're talking about this kind of cash flow subject for small to mid-sized businesses,
yes.
When did you realize that there had to be this kind of better way to ensure a sustained cash flow for these businesses? What sparked that for you?
If it's all right with you, can I tell you a story?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so as I like to say, what had happened was, because that's there's always something when somebody starts up with what had happened was once upon a time, whatever. So seriously, what had happened was I used to work for a small IT company outside of Boston, where I'm originally from. You know how it is when you get hired in a company, whether it's small, medium, or large. It's usually welcome aboard. Here's your cubicle. Here's your box. Here's your plan. Well, in this case, it was a team of collectors, and I was a part-time one. And they said, "Listen, we've got $8 million in outstanding receivables." And I was like, "Y'all have what?" They're like, "Yeah, exactly." That face right there.
And they're still in business?
They were still in business. But here's the thing. So they had a team of collectors. Then they hired me on a part-time basis. And they said, "Hey, listen, we've got $8 million in outstanding receivables. We need you to collect it." And I was like, "Okay." So I got quiet, and I'm a believer. So I had a short conversation with God. And then I got my 3 clues, which ended up being problem solving, customer service, and gratitude. And then I also realized the 4th thing to add to that is proper invoicing. So what I discovered was this: of the $6 million, in one phone call, calling one of the customers and saying, "Hi, I'm Dee on behalf of such and such company. Want to find out why haven't we gotten paid?" And they said, "Oh, we changed our billing system." So this story answers first part of your question: when did you discover when things go wrong? A billing issue. And so the business owners that are listening out here, one of the things you can do right now, if you are dealing with other companies, make sure that you prepare a proper invoice. Name of your client, contract number, invoice number, dollar amount, what do they buy from you, and make sure it's sent to the right person. So in this case, with one phone call, I was able to collect $2 million.
Sit tight and wait for that to catch up. Oh, there we go. You had frozen for a moment. So I'm so sorry. After the invoicing, then where would you go from there? I'm so sorry.
No. So with the invoicing, so I was saying, so basically, I'll go back. So basically, I get hired. We're dealing with collecting $8 million. With one phone call, I discovered how to collect $2 million based on invoicing, because the company, one of the reasons why the $8 million was still outstanding was this. One of the clients said, "We changed our billing system." So to the business owners that are listening, sales are super important, but so is invoicing. It's like, I say it this way, collect the cash. The sale is not complete until the money's in the bank, but you must collect it first. And sales and AR go together. Actually, sales, accounts payable, and accounts receivable, they all go together. So you got to sell something first, then you got to bill it, and then you got to get paid for it. Well, in this case, this company changed their billing system. It'd be like going from Microsoft Excel to, say, QuickBooks. but nobody told you that they changed the billing system. So in this case, the company didn't know this. So $2 million of the $8 million sat there uncollected because nobody did the follow up. So when I talk about why cash flow is so important and why it matters on this, it's the follow up. I describe it as problem solving because a lot of people go, well, I do follow up sort of, like I will call or I might do this or I might do that, but I lump it all under problem solving because you got to figure, I started the conversation with what had happened was, and it's basically you're tracking what transpired from the moment you got your sale to when you delivered your product or service to when you invoice, and then most importantly, my lane is when did you get paid. So I go back to the story. I collect $6 million, and then the unthinkable happened. The CEO says, "Listen, let's have a chat." We all come downstairs, and they say, thank you for everything you've done across the entire company." They shut the doors 2 months before Christmas. This
What?
is in my this story I'm telling you is actually in my book called Collect the Cash. And this is why I have been on a mission to talk about, keeping your business profitable. This company, I believe, had they had, more people like me who would get into the weeds and discover things, could they have saved themselves? Probably. But here's the thing, I will never know. But what I am on a campaign to do now is to raise the vibration or raise the information about accounts receivable, because there are a lot of small businesses and medium-sized businesses that get sales. They're great at what they do, but that back office part, they're like, I'm not touching that. And I'm like, no,
Mhm.
you got to touch that part. You got to do
It's
the
just as
whole thing.
important.
It is extremely, extremely. So
Yeah.
that's how I got here.
That is absolutely bonkers. I have also been at companies that were in peril long before I got there and didn't really realize what I was walking into. But thank you for sharing that story, because it
Yeah,
really does highlight, sales is, I feel like a lot of people, kind of live, a lot of companies live and die by their sales team, which is great. That's how you
right,
make money, but you got to actually get the money. So,
right.
you're right. Like kind of having employees who are not only, check following up on what they're supposed to be following up on, but also have that curiosity to be like, hey, that doesn't match. I wonder why, as opposed to
Right,
like, that doesn't match.
right, exactly.
Next. Next. I mean, I'm thinking back. I have a very bizarre work history myself, and I
Yeah,
was
sure,
head
sure.
of purchasing for a manufacturing company. They made like windows, and we installed basements and roofing and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And I remember like walking into there and realizing that like their invoicing filing system was a box in the corner.
Yeah.
Like I mean, practically you might as well have just like thrown paper in a general direction. It was bonkers. So yeah, like it makes even more sense for small companies because, especially small businesses, you don't have a lot of wiggle room. Most people don't start them with buckets of money in the bank. You have
Right.
to keep making these things profitable.
Yeah. A
All
lot of
right.
people bootstrap. A lot of people bootstrap
Yeah.
their business, and I totally get that. But it's a funny too. And I'm glad you mentioned that piece about manufacturing and also just how people who start their businesses and they'll start it shoestring and a shoebox. Here's my thing. I want to applaud you as a business owner for starting your business. We need more innovation on all kinds of things. I started my business to talk to business owners about why AR matters, but
Mm-hmm.
also to have a system. You got to have a tracking system. Like I teach you that you need to have a system that basically has the name of your customer, the contract number, how much is the contract for, what did they buy from you, when you're supposed to invoice them, and my favorite line is when you're supposed to get paid, and then
Yeah.
celebrate that thing. And even if you do it is as in as simple tool as Microsoft Excel, just those tabs I just talked about, but having that, because here's the thing, as you plan to grow, you're going to need more systems. But at least if you can, if somebody says, can you tell me how many customers you have? And you're like, well, I think I got, like, yeah, no, 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 no. I need you to run me a report and tell me how many customers you have and how many sales do you have and how many invoices are outstanding, because that's where your cash flow and your revenue is. So anyway, let me get
Yeah.
back to you. Let you ask some more questions.
No, please. I mean, we're here to listen to you. So I have a habit of being fairly talkative myself. So I'm happy to sit back and let everyone else kind of learn from your expertise.
Yeah.
All right. So when it comes to those small and mid-sized businesses, what are they actually missing out on by not pursuing revenue recovery strategies? So what do you think is at stake here?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, they're missing out on being able to expand. That's the first thing. The second thing they're missing out on is if you need, first of all, getting your revenue in and actually celebrating the fact that you've made your sale. Because here's the thing, the sale is not complete until the money's actually in the bank. There's that part. Number two, what if you want to hire more people? What if you want to do more marketing? What if you want to do more ads? What if you need to buy more equipment? Every time that you're not following up on your sales, you're basically saying, well, I don't really need that money, but that's not true because you did the sale because you wanted somebody to buy your product or service, and then you really want to make sure you get paid. So that, following it all the way through. The best example I can give you is this. Everybody who's watching, whether you're team iPhone or team Android, it's really easy. When you walk into the cell phone store, welcome to whatever cell phone store it is. Hey, Megan, can I get your phone? Can I get your ID? Sure. They start the sales process by confirming who you are, and then they tell you, oh, guess what? You're eligible for an upgrade. You're like, man, my phone was working just fine, but now that you planted that seed about me getting an upgrade, I'm looking for it. So you're gonna walk around the store. You're gonna go and pick the next one, whether it's what is it, Apple? I think it's Apple 13 or 11. I don't even know what number it is
Could be
now.
47 at this point. Who
I
knows?
know, right? Whatever number it is on team iPhone and Android. I think Galaxy is up to 22. Point is, you got a new sale. Next thing you know, you're into a new contract with your new phone. Next thing you know, they're doing order entry. They're scanning the back of the box, setting up your account in the system. Then they'll ask you, when would you like your invoice to? When do you want your bill? You pick a date. So accounts payable happens from the corporate space to you. Accounts receivable is you to them. And then I jokingly say they got this magic button that will disconnect your services if you don't pay them. Now, what I just gave you was a quick lesson with the cell phone, but that's your business. And every one of those things happens along the way to show you. You don't even get to leave here's the thing, the lesson. You don't even get to leave the phone store until all those things transpire and that these two magical words, transaction approved. You don't get to leave the store until you pay for the phone or set up a payment plan.
Yeah. No, I'm powerfully reminded of the last four words that James Brown said every time right before he went on stage every night. Pay me my money.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's one of those things. You're right. Like, I mean, big companies like, let's say, Schmerizon, for example, right. They don't mess around. You owe them money, you pay them money. That's how these things go. And, especially when you are, if you are a sole entrepreneur or if you are a very small business, it's very easy to kind of, do you think that comes from that sort of weird dynamic of like not wanting to have to like be that person that's like asking to get invoices paid? What do you think is like the key, maybe at least in your opinion, behind this?
First of all, great question. The key to that is this. Most small business owners, when they finally get that first or second or third client, they're like, thank you, God. I'm like, yes, I got a client. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to mess up the relationship because I'm hoping that they'll bring me back again and they'll give me more business. So I'm going out of my way to make sure everything is correct. But here's the thing. The way you can show them that you are worth more business is that you manage the entire sales process, including getting paid. Because here's the thing. If they have a contract with you, that means that they're entrusting you to deliver your product, your service to them. They expect you to ask them for the payment. Just like you asked them for the sale. It's no different. It's no different.
No, I love that. I love that approach because you're right. I mean, and I'm sure this is not a uniquely American trait, but I for sure know that we marinate in this where talking about money is weird. It's awkward.
My gosh.
We don't have practice in it. We're told not to do it. We're told not to talk about it. And then you don't want to play the heavy. So you have it's very personal, that business relationship you've cultivated. No, thank you for diving in on that. Cause it's such one of those things that shouldn't be as hard as it is, but it totally, like, the psychology behind it makes a lot of sense.
Well, I think it's hard because number one, the hype or the hype and the sensitivity or the focus rather is more on the sale. And especially it's like this. If you play sports, most people who play sports, they get it because they're in the zone. Okay, they got so many customers they're going after or so many prospects. They're dialing for dollars. They're calling. They're doing their thing. They're doing a presentation, etc. No problem with that because they're in the zone to go land the sale. Well, I teach that you have to be in the collection zone and do the same thing, which is how many accounts do you have? If you have accounts that are 30 days past due, 60 days past due, 90 days past due, you got to get your mindset ready to talk to your client. You might have a client that is challenging. and you have to be prepared for them to be challenging, but and for it not to be personal. This is business that you're looking to solve the problem of what happened,
Yeah.
and then what's holding up the payment, course correct if you need to, apologize if you need to if you made a mistake, and then fix it, and then expect to get paid,
Yeah.
and keep and stay persistent with that until you actually get your money. You have to
Oh,
do that.
absolutely. I love that reframing, instead of thinking of the sale as the goal line, think of, or the finish line, the goal, whatever you want to. But like, I
Yep.
love that idea of kind of reframing it and thinking of, okay, absolute bottom line. The whole point of a business is, I provide goods or services, you give me money. So
Right.
yeah, think about it in those terms as opposed to like just the initial sale. All right. So if people are trying to collect on outstanding invoices, what are the key things that people should know or should have top of mind?
Top of mind. Number one, how much is owed to you? Step one, you got to know how much seriously
Yeah.
these
No, I
guys.
mean, these are things that are important to talk about truly because we don't, it sounds basic, but these are, it
Yeah.
wouldn't
So
be this, we wouldn't need to have this conversation if we all knew
right, right.
this.
I know. I was being funny, but because we were talking earlier about how money is such a one of those, it makes people squeamish. Okay, so here's the thing: if you're a business owner that's owed money, you need to know how much do you have in outstanding AR. How much do people owe you? Number one. Number two, do you have copies of all of your invoices? Not Cash App, not PayPal, but an actual invoice
Yeah.
between you and your client. That part. Number two, did you submit the invoice properly to the people? Follow up, because here's the thing: when you first got your sale, they probably told you submit your invoices, upload it into a system, go into a portal, whatever. Did you follow the instructions? Because you might have, I jokingly say data entered or data entered or fat fingered something, and you're wondering how come I didn't get paid. Well, yeah, because you didn't follow the instructions and make sure that your invoice was prepared properly. Number one. Number two, it was submitted to the right in the right portal. Number three, did you get that email confirmation? We get confirmations on everything under the sun. You got
Yeah.
same thing with this. If your client is one that uses an electronic invoicing system, then make sure that you submitted it properly. One. Number two, get the email confirmation. And if you
Yeah.
didn't, problem solving. So here's the thing: when you're owed money in business, you have to get into the mindset of it's not so much about collecting it as it's problem solving. And then here's the thing: I teach you to do problem solving. Number one, I teach you to do good customer service, which is that your business is in business to serve your client. So you're solving their problem. Number one, you do good customer service by even if the invoicing is wrong, taking responsibility to acknowledge that, course correct it, fix it, so you can prepare better invoices going forward. And then here's the thing: express gratitude. And most people are like, "D, what's up with the gratitude?" Well, I happen to believe and know that when you pause, like our parents taught you, say please and thank you, people respond to that. And how I've learned that is that in the amount of money I've collected in years, the people that helped me solve the problems, I went back and said thank you. And what I did was, we talked earlier about building relationships. Gratitude is one of those intangibles, but it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
when we
I like
started this
that.
conversation, the first thing I said was thank you so much for the opportunity to be on the show. Why? Because I recognize that this is a gift and I'm excited to be here and I want to express my gratitude because guess what? I want to come back.
Well, you're also setting the tone, right?
Right.
Like you're kind of, I'm reminded of that idea that you teach others how to treat you.
Yes.
And if you are functioning as, as the collector or as, as the accounting department or leg of your business, as well as, owner or creator or whatever, that is, it is a space where you are teaching people not only how to treat you, but how to like look at your business.
Right.
So if you are kind of creating that, yes, it's a relationship. This should be congenial. You are, you're saying please and thank you and doing those things. Not only are you, showing like my parents ingrained in me, we use, manners are how we show that we have respect for other people. So,
Absolutely.
that's you're doing that, you're demonstrating that, but you're also setting the tone of, hey, this is how I like to do business and my time is worth this much. And, that's fine, but I'm still going to be friendly with you about this. And so I feel like that's invaluable to really, be able to set that baseline.
It's true.
Um,
And I'll add one other thing.
yeah,
There's two
please.
things on people who prepare invoices. If you get an invoice from whoever clients, a lot of times the accounts payable person writes on the bottom of the invoice, "Thank you for your business." They tell you that up front. They it's a small subtle thing. Well, because I'm tuned to gratitude, I'm like, man, this is cool. And here's another time that businesses do gratitude: holiday seasons. Holiday season. Oh my gosh, if your client, depending on size of your client, you get a card that says, "Hey, thank you so much for being a customer. We hope you have, we appreciate your service. We wish you best wishes for the holiday season." And then they're like, "We look forward to doing business with you in the following year." They're expressing gratitude because they realize you could spend your dollars anywhere.
Yep.
That part, that
Yep.
part right there. And if nothing else, and like you said, Meg, we're setting the tone. And I think, yes, business can be very stressful. Collecting money is extremely stressful. And,
Yeah.
learning how to be confident with it and understanding that it's it's a part of your business, and it's your responsibility to make sure that you deliver good services and products, you invoice, and that you get paid. And here, my favorite part of all this, y'all got to celebrate. Y'all got to learn how to celebrate your wins. Definitely.
Yes, absolutely. You got to
Yeah.
celebrate the wins because that's what gets you through when it's not necessarily losing, but like the slog in between. So
Yes.
absolutely. I
Definitely.
mean, I used trying to think. I bartended and waitressed for God the better part of 5 or 6 years, and that was something that I learned early on. And I was actually taught it from a person, Marge, who was a million years old and taught me everything I knew about food service. But one of the things she said was every time you hand over somebody's their check or their bill, sign the bottom of it, say thank you, put a smiley face, something, doesn't matter what, just do
Yep.
something. And I mean, I can't say that she was right 100% of the time. It didn't always pan out, but generally speaking, it led to pretty decent tips. And
Nice.
that is, that's all the proof I needed. So I
Yep.
did it, the entire time I was bartending and waitressing because it can't hurt. It takes you half a second to jog out. So yeah, I love that attitude. Okay, so we have a little less than 10 minutes left in today's
Okay.
conversation. These go way too quickly. So Dee,
No
I
problem.
really hope we're able to have you back.
Yes.
If you have questions that you'd like to ask Dee, please feel free, throw them in the chat thread. I'll keep my eye over there, and we'll pull them in as soon as we get them. Now, I know that you were able to use your strategies while you were working for the US government. Can you tell us about how you were able to employ these and how that worked out for you?
Sure. So I supported I worked for I worked for the United States Coast Guard headquarters, and so I was able to do this because when I got hired, they hired me to do, contract closeouts. And so closeouts are high level collections at a level that's like, okay, so basically it's like this: the government basically awards contracts to vendors to they buy products or services, and so basically I had to so the person that I was working for at the time, they had a lot of contracts that had been awarded. There was a lot of money that was sitting on the books and it had not been addressed. And so they said, okay, we see that you have these skills. We need you to do what you do best. So I said, great. So I got tasked with working with 10 different branches of the Navy on behalf of a branch of the Coast Guard. And I had to do these three things. I had to problem solve. They give me these lists of contracts. I got to go find the person that I have to build a relationship with. I have to do customer service on behalf of the Coast Guard, the person I'm reporting to. And then I have to do gratitude. And you got to think about it. I'm talking about 10 different branches of the Navy that I'm interfacing with. So I'm talking to you, I'm talking to Steve, I'm talking to this person, that person. And I got to keep, when I talk about the tracking of systems, so my whole story, everything I've been talking about is from what I've learned to do in my career and also in my business. So tracking the different branches of the Navy that I interface with, the personnel that I talk to, um, finding out where if an invoice wasn't paid, how to do the research to figure that out,
Yeah.
resubmitting documents, course corrections, admitting when we made a mistake, and then getting them to basically eventually send me the documents, and if there was money left over, send that money back to me and tell them thank you. And what I learned was that there are a lot of people that are in administrative roles. A lot of people just take them for granted, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that for me personally was like, nah. That's how one of the ways we can change this is that just because you're an admin person doesn't mean you don't have as much value as a salesperson or whoever. I'm like, they both matter. And I decided that, as an admin person, the gratitude matters, and I want you to be seen and to be heard and to be respected. And so the best way to do that was to model that. So that's what I worked on, and that's what I did, and that's how I was able to collect a lot of money for them as well.
I love that because I mean, it cannot be easy to go through that much red tape. I mean,
No.
oh my God, I can only imagine. All right. So in the 4 minutes we have left,
Yes,
let's talk a little bit more about your book.
sure.
Tell us about your book, and what it can really do to help entrepreneurs to create that mindset that you talked about when it comes to sales.
Sure thing. So, thank you for the question. Collect the cash. The sale is not complete until the money's in the bank. So, the book was actually written during COVID. Um, actually next month the book will have been out for a whole year. So, what had happened was,
Congratulations.
thank you so much. So, what had happened was, my book coach was doing these Facebook lives, and she was saying, "Hey, you can write a book in 90 days or less." And I was like, "You can do what?" I'm like, "No, not really." And then she's like, "No, you really can." So anyway, I took her class, and when we started talking about the book, I told the story about collecting $6 million in 60 days. And she was like, "You did how much money?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she said, this is how the book came about. She says, "D, your why is that you want small business owners to win. Teach us your system." And she goes, "You have a system." And she said, "What do you do?" I said, "I do problem solving, customer service, gratitude, proper invoices, and a tracking system." And she says, "You can put that into a book." So the book is my journey. And it's also about overcoming obstacles like getting fired.
Yeah.
And then how did I bounce back from that, and the lessons that I learned about mindset, collections, teamwork, and then happen to love sports. So at the end of the book, I talk about the collection zone. I talk about the pregame, which is how do you get ready to do collections. Game day, which is making your phone calls and then tracking all your information. Post game is when you win and then celebrating. So it's the journey of me doing all the things I've talked about through this entire conversation. And I decided to write the book because number one, I wanted to leave a legacy. I know a lot of small business owners don't get told about how to collect their money. They're told marketing, social media,
Yeah.
branding, but nobody talks to them about, listen, after you get a sale, do you know what to do? That
Hmm.
part. So she was like, please, please, please teach us how to win in this area. So that's why Collect the Cash came about, and that's how I wrote it.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, so how can people follow you? How can they learn more about what you're doing? Where can they find the book?
Okay,
Give us your
so
info.
all the good stuff. So if first of all, if the conversation has connected with you and you want to learn more about me and the book, please go to www.collectthecash.biz/book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book. I am at dcollects on Instagram. I am Dee Bowden on Facebook and Dee Bowden on LinkedIn. Again, one more time for the book, www.collectthecash.biz/book. That's www.collectthecash.biz/book. Cheers.
You are an old hand at this. Nice job.
Thank
I
you.
grabbed the link that Dee spelled out for y'all. I put it into the chat thread, and obviously it'll probably be attached to the recording of this event once we do launch those in the coming weeks. Dee, this has been wonderful.
Thank you.
I immediately, like, you need to come back, and I call dibs on talking to you again because this was
Okay,
lovely.
let's do it.
Yes, absolutely.